I'm here with Bruce Pyenson and Anita McGlothlin. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and talk a little bit about the workshop going on here this weekend.
Well, it's an exciting workshop, and it's the 19th year, and your support is really critical, so really appreciate that.
Why don't you go ahead and both introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about what your role is, what you do on a day-to-day basis. Anita, if you'd like to start.
Okay. Anita McGlothlin. I'm a director at GoTo Foundation for Lung Cancer. They're a patient advocacy organization. One of their missions is to increase survivorship, and my role there is with economics and health policy, so on the reimbursement side of things. And I'm also a steering committee member with QIW, so glad to be here.
And I'm Bruce Pyenson. I'm a principal and consulting actuary at Milliman, which is a consulting organization, and I just finished a stint on MedPAC, the Medicare Payment Advisory Commission, which is an agency of the U.S. Congress. And I'm also on the steering committee for quantitative imaging workshop.
Excellent. Thank you both so much. And, the financial side of things is not always necessarily the most glamorous or seen as such, but
I disagree. I think
maybe where you were.
Show me the money, right?
No, but it's sometimes not everybody sees it that way, but financial incentives are kind of a very big deal when it comes to having access to healthcare, access to life-saving treatment, and also to innovations and emerging technology. Could you all tell me a little bit about how financial incentives can be a big deal or need to be sometimes improved in places or can be used in order to get more people access to that?
Well, I think in any healthcare system, whether it's the U.S. or around the world, nothing happens unless someone pays for it. And ironically, in the United States, there's so much money in healthcare that it has the effect of almost crowding out things that are really important, like lung cancer screening, for example, that there's investment and organizations that are chasing after lower value things, but that bring more money. So I think part of the effort of Prevent Cancer Foundation and quantitative imaging workshop is to focus on things that are really important and really breakthroughs, but might not have the sexiness of things that you read about every day in the paper. You have a different perspective from
being in Washington. When we're talking about patient advocacy, I mean, we're really looking at things like precision medicine, and so we're looking at working together with both from a patient perspective and a clinician's perspective and provider perspective to understand where the gaps are. So financial toxicities and financial incentives, those are huge drivers in the US and elsewhere that really does impact patient access and care and testing. Physicians aren't going to be able to provide the service if they're not getting reimbursed for it. So it's a really important discussion, and we're really glad that this group, QIW, is talking about it.
Yeah, so speaking about the workshop in particular, how does this workshop help in terms of how does that collaboration help generate new ideas or help remove blockers and kind of keep things moving forward in the field of research around quantitative imaging?
Well, I think it's got a history of achievement. This is the 19th annual meeting, and over the time, the individuals that have come together have been the pioneers in getting lung cancer screening recognized and getting it actually covered by insurance. And some of the advocacy organizations like GoTo has been instrumental in that, and Prevent Cancer Foundation. So it's both on the policy side and on the science side. These organizations have come together and the individuals have come together and really achieved a lot. We've got more to do.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely are stronger together, right? We can make a bigger impact, really get the right messaging out there when we start this almost think tank or learning collaborative, and we start talking about the major cancers, and of course lung cancer in this space and in the US is the #1 cancer killer. So the work that we're doing here and talking about And then when we're talking about science and research, which you address the pioneers that are part of and make up QIW and have been around for a long time. I mean, evidence and research really are the major drivers for policy pathways. So when we're talking about how that dovetails into one another, it's really important that we're having this learning collaborative and discussion.
And a lot of the people are really pioneers and have faced obstacles like many pioneers do. You know, they've been outliers in academic organizations and professional organizations, and almost vilified or been the odd people out. And collaborating with people who can see the future and see the potential, getting those folks together has, I think, been instrumental as a support community. And the people in QIW and the leaders there continue to push the envelope. You know, that they've succeeded in having lung cancer screening acknowledged as a solid evidence-based intervention. That's a big change from a few years ago. They're pushing forward on other issues that are also edgy. So it's an organization of sort of edgy people who are very collaborative and backed with the patient advocacy to get things actually done. So I think it's probably a unique organization. I can't think of any other organization that comes together in that kind of way.
When you're talking about the space of innovation, this group really understands that. Yeah.
And I've heard it's a very, actually, I don't even have to have heard it. I've seen from the interviews we've done this weekend that it's extremely multidisciplinary in terms of the group of people that are both here in person and virtually for the event. How does that help for all of you being able to, talk directly with heads of research and talk with doctors that are working with patients?
Well, I think Anita and I are probably the most unusual people.
I was going to say,
we're the outliers.
we're the outliers in a group of outliers.
Them being able to talk to you as well, though. Because you never, I imagine it also helps to be able to say, hey, these are the problems from our side that we see that we need to solve, and to hear from others, these are the problems we're running into. How much does that end up happening in a workshop like this, or how much are you able to kind of help focus your direction from talking with the others here?
I think we've been able to introduce into the workshop leaders of other kinds of organizations to be even keynote speakers or panelists and raise topics from outside the science world and more in the policy world. For example, we had the head of an organization from Seattle LightSprite, that has an app for people suffering from anxiety, and sort of based on games. It literally has a game with safe spots, and people can navigate, and something that actually engages and works. So that bringing other kinds of ideas, and I found I'll say outrageous things for sure, and people are accepting of that. Probably not agreeing, but it's a good group.
I mean, Bruce has been really effective. He and I had a couple of sessions during QIW this year where we really were discussing, the payment systems and how that applies to different technologies within the space of lung cancer. And so when we're looking at AI and how that can be reimbursed, or what those reimbursement pathways look like, some of the diverse groups that we've had participate, we've got payers, so insurance. Your audience probably needs or has an understanding of, I have a claim that needs to get paid, and will my insurance cover it, and what is my deductible and out-of-pocket costs? That's our everyday language, yeah. And it's important that we drive incentives on reimbursement so that there's a space there for patient access and less financial toxicity among them.
Now, I'm going to get to some more silly questions here in a minute, but I do always love to leave a little bit of space in case there's anything that I haven't asked you so far that you really wanted to make sure you got across, whether it be something about the work you do, or even a message to the audience of Games Done Quick fans or something, or just something people don't know about lung cancer or about cancer prevention that they should know. I always leave a little bit of space here in these interviews. So if there's anything else you want to bring up, if not, that's also fine. So just
I was thinking there's a real need for better engagement of patients, of people, and physicians. And that comes up in every meeting, in most of the sessions. That
could you explain what you mean by better engagement?
So for example, why is it that some people who should be screened get screened and other people don't? Why is it that of the people who should be screened, fewer than 10% actually get screened? How do you reach out to people? And I don't know if you remember the anti-smoking campaigns of the Legacy Foundation, the Truth Initiative. There are these edgy ads.
Yeah, I do remember those.
People my generation have never seen them because they were targeted at a youth population, and they were also using language that people of my generation wouldn't understand. If they saw it, they probably wouldn't remember it. So that's the sort of thing that, targeted messaging to be effective, that is an issue that comes up. And I think the kind of skills that are that the gaming industry has developed for that, which, find application in insurance and, retail and everything, human resources and everything else, could be brought in to help benefit this. Because otherwise, we have this healthcare system that's just painful to navigate. I think the technical term is sludge.
Very familiar firsthand.
And so finding ways to escape from that is really critical for the mission of this organization and actually healthcare in general. So I'd welcome, input from folks like you on that.
From all kinds of sources.
Yeah.
This is more from my patient advocacy background, but screening saves lives. We know that. But that would be my one takeaway message for your audience, is to get screened. So if you're a heavy smoker, age 50 to 80, check out Lotus CT screening. It should be free. So. Or
for your audience, if your parents or grandparents are there, make sure they go get screened.
Do either of you have a history with gaming or play games yourself or anything like that?
I've been accused of that.
I'm an 80s or 70s child, so Pac-Man, things like that. Do you call that gaming?
Yeah, of course. No, we're so our big thing. Well, actually, I'll ask this to you two. Do you know what speedrunning is? Are you familiar with it? And
no.
Don't worry, it's fine if you don't.
No.
Someone mentioned this to me very recently, so I might know a little bit, but that's about it.
Okay. Give me a quick explanation.
Is it just it's basically a timed gaming process? Is that right? Where you're playing through something as quickly as possible?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, with any means necessary, basically. And we're big retro game enthusiasts and stuff, so we'll have people who are playing all kinds of like old arcade games or Super Mario Brothers still, and Pac-Man included. And there's people who come to these conferences that we do, these big marathon events, and they'll have effectively an entire arcade cabinet, but broken down to just the components that you need in like a shoebox or whatever, right? And modded to be able to hook up to a modern display and everything. So we're very big on the old retro games. Was there anything that you played, Bruce, back? I think you mentioned Space Invaders,
Did
right?
you say Atari?
No,
that was after you?
That was after me.
I used to get like joystick blisters, 60s, yeah. Mortal Kombat was my game then.
People were still playing mechanical pinball machines when I was a kid.
So thumbs, right?
Oh, you got two big pinball enthusiasts in here. So, real quick, if you had to guess, because like you said, speedrunning, it's about beating the game as fast as possible, right? If you had to take a wild stab out there, how long do you think it takes somebody to beat, start to finish, Super Mario Brothers, the old one? Boot up the game, start a new file, and get to the credits, get to the end.
I don't know. 8 hours? I have no idea how long it takes to play this game.
8 hours. You want to take a guess?
You're going to say
Bruce?
one? Like you're going to go on the short end?
I have no idea because there was a whole bunch of different versions.
The arcade. Let's say the arcade version.
I don't know, an hour?
4 minutes and 54
Holy
seconds.
moly.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and that is.
But that's cheating, right? You know.
You sir would have a lot of people on the internet who would be very big fans of you. But thank you, Bruce, Anita. Thank you so much for your time. I want to make sure you can go get some lunch. So we really appreciate it. I know you're all very busy people, and the work you do saves lives and gets more people access to life-saving technologies. So I really do genuinely appreciate the time you take to talk with us about all this.
Well, great and a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.